Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and doll making is definitely an art all on its own. We can make tiny little dolls and very large dolls. We can dress them up and we can sculpt them so that they look very lifelike. Have special hair, all sorts of things, but we can also make them very simple. And the simpler they are, the better they are for someone's first doll. And we can make it with only 2 pattern pieces. The pattern has very simple pieces. The body, we need to cut 2 and put it on a fold so we have the main body. The face, same thing. Cut out 2, place it on a fold so we have 2 pieces. And I've included a face. The front consists of the face and the body, and the back is all one piece. This is a fun project to use scrap fabric. I have some little scrapped fun fur left, and it's not big enough, so I did piece it right down the center. But you can make it as one large piece. I need the piece for the front and a piece for the face. I've taken a plain cotton muslin. I've put the bottom marks on it and have put my face on. Now I've also put a little line right up at the top, and that's an area I want to sew a little bit of wool, so we don't need to do any sizing yet. We're just going to put the face on and the bottom registration marks. The face is going to be stitched on top of the body. So choose whatever fabric you want to use and stitch that muslin face onto the fabric. I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch seam to anchor that piece in. I'm not doing any drawing until after the stitching is done. I've done the face first because it's easier to draw the face on while it's flat. The face is going to be a very simple shape, and the top is flat. The entire doll is going to be stuffed from the top of this head. The top is going to get drawn in nice and tight, and that's what's going to give that nice round shape. So the first thing is put your face on. And because I want to make this child-proof, I'm only going to use a fabric marker. That way there are no small pieces that can come off. If you like, you can even draw hair on. If you decide you want the little puff of hair, we're going to take some wool, just wrap it around our hands a little bit, and stitch it right at this top. And we're going to stitch it right at this line where the fold is, so the hair will hang down. And that little hair will get stuck up inside that top. I've stitched the wool down, going back and forth, coming up to the top. And all of this will be trimmed off after. Now we can take this piece of fabric and sew it onto the fabric that we want the front of the body. Match the right side of the face to the right side of the fabric and stitch those layers together. That's all there is to make the front. Trace the entire doll on top of both of those fabrics put together. So I have the front of the face attached to my front fabric. My back is one long piece, and I'm just tracing this entire thing. Take the pattern pieces off and repin those layers together. Start stitching from the top of the head, following all the way around the body, ending at the top. So this top portion is going to be left open. It's a lot easier to stitch something like this when you have all of this to hold on to. All of this is going to be trimmed off later, so we can just stitch following those lines. Once these layers are stitched together, we can cut out, leaving a seam allowance, anywhere between 1/4 inch up to 1/2 inch. And when it comes to this top portion, just take that hair and tuck it inside and cut that top portion. Some of the areas will need to be snipped. The areas that are pointing in more, so around the neck and around the arms, any of these areas that are a tight turn. And snipping is just putting a couple of straight cuts in so you're coming close to the stitching line, not cutting through, just coming close. So snip some of those tighter little areas. we can turn this little doll right side out. I like to put my thumb all the way into its little foot and hands, and then just turn out each foot and hand on its own. And that way it comes out easily. After he's all stuffed, we will need to close up the top of this head. The fabric is going to be folded along this fold line, or close to. In order to do that, we need to do a running stitch all the way along this top. We don't need to stitch that down because when the threads are pulled, we're going to be able to tuck this in. But it'll be easier to do this running stitch now before it's stuffed. I'm going to use 2 strands of a very strong all-purpose thread. I'm going to tie a good strong knot in the back, and I'm going to start in the back. Do a running stitch just up and down all the way along, approximately where this line would be. Do that running stitch all the way along the front, going right through that hair. I'm going to leave the needle in, but I don't want to lose where I have the knot. So I'm just going to put a pin in, so I'm going to be able to find that knot after. Roll back the head and start stuffing the body. Now dolls need to be soft and squishy, so we don't need a lot of stuffing. So just a little bit and stick it in here until it has that nice soft squishy feel. Once the body's done, I can roll back the head and fill his little head. Now I'm going to be able to close the top of his little hat. I know where my thread is because I've had the pin there and my needle. So I'm going to be able to pull, and as I'm pulling, tuck in this top and do a couple more knots just to secure the threads. There's a couple of ways we can do the hair. You can leave it this way, or you can cut it and comb it. When you cut and comb it, it comes a little bit softer and fuzzier. So I trim all of those ends, and then with a pin, I'm unraveling all of those fibers. And that's going to give the hair a soft look. Once we've combed that out, we can take and pull off any of the loose fibers. Because I want this to be very child-proof, I'm going to take time and pull all of the seams and make sure that they're going to hold tight. And check those seams. Now we can dress them up, put little scarves and bows, little pom-pom on the top of the head, but whatever we do, we need to stitch them on so they're very, very firm and that we can test them afterwards that they're going to stay on. And from here, whatever you do will be up to you. The simple little dolls are now done, and it looks like they're ready to go outside and play in the snow. They are machine washable, so we can always throw them in the drawer and fluff them up and make sure there's no linties before we give them away. My little doll friends are now ready for their new owners. I'll put a link in the description to the free pattern, and thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.